Hello, welcome to CIO Leadership Live Australia. I'm Kathy O'Sullivan, Editorial Director for Foundry in Australia and New Zealand. My guest today is Razi Bataur, who is the Chief Information and Technology Officer at Rashay. Welcome to the podcast, Razi. I appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Great stuff. I'd love to hear about CIO's origin story. So can you tell us about how you got your own start in technology and what have been some of the highlights of your career so far?
Sure. Look, I actually remember when I started. I was in the last year of uni. I had 6 months left to go at uni and I just had enough of studying. So I was obviously wanted to finish my degree, but I was really keen to get into the workforce. So I got my first job as a tech support, first and second level support for a radiology company that had about 30 to 40 sites across the state. Great job, hands-on, met with the customers. It was back in the day when, IT wasn't as sophisticated as it is now. It was a great experience. Drove around to a lot of hospitals around the state, met a lot of great people. Obviously my career just transitioned from there, from that kind of tech support and over time, working my way through that. Look, some of the highlights of my career, I think I've been pretty lucky. I've worked on some pretty big global projects around the world. I've had the opportunity to travel a lot. I've gone to some amazing places. I've done projects in the US, across Asia, across Europe. And obviously one of the main highlights, I think, was I was involved heavily with FIFA, the FIFA World Cup that took place 2 years ago now. So working on some of the, the stadiums and some of the infrastructure that was required for Qatar to deliver that. So yeah, that was some of the highlights, I think, across the last couple of years.
Fabulous. Yeah, that must have been a fascinating project to be part of, the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Yeah. So you're back in Australia and you're now Chief Information and Technology Officer at Rashay. So tell us about the business, like mission and purpose and how you and the team support that.
Sure. Look, Rashay is very unique. Rashay has always been about the customer experience. And that is one thing that has been driven down by the founders and leadership team pretty much from the day I came in. It's about making sure that customer experience is ideal from the minute they walk into one of our locations and post the experience. Rashay has over 40 locations across Australia at the moment, and there are plans to expand internationally. We feed over 4.3 million people a year who come into our stores. Obviously, technology and IT play a big part in the overall customer experience. We play everything from when customers order online. They order through the mobile app, even things like even managing our inventory. We have a major central kitchen here that manufactures a lot of the food as well. So obviously we're working from end to end, everything from inventory to ordering to supplier management, vendor management, and even the customer experience, which, like I said, is from ordering even to the dine-in experience that they have at one of our stores.
So how does your role differ, I guess, from other industries that you've worked in? What have you noticed about the hospitality sector that may be different or similar to some with previous industries?
Sure. Look, some of the other industries I've worked in are things like healthcare, professional services, finance, etc. Look, each one is different and each one is unique. I think the thing with hospitality that I found over the last couple of years, there is a lot of changing consumer demand. Which is different than other organizations whereby a consumer demand can change. What is popular today is not popular tomorrow. And what was popular last week will not be popular in 6 months' time. So there are a lot of type of fads and items need to be moved quickly and products need to be delivered quickly. So in the event that, there's a new menu item or something needs to change quite quickly, you're looking at getting that done as quick as possible. Our systems are working with the development team to have, the menus prepared. The inventory management is done, all the update across all the platforms needs to be done quite quickly. So yeah, it's a very agile and very quick to cater for that consumer demand as it comes in. The other one is where we differentiate is we're always looking at how we're different than our competitors. When you look at something like healthcare, when you're looking at a big player like healthcare, you have your Philips, you have your GE, you have your Siemens, you have those big players. From a hospitality point of view, your players are everywhere. So consumers have a lot of choice. So it is always a case of how do we put in that competitive advantage? How are we different from the competitor? If a customer does not come to us, they have 1,000 other options that they can choose from. So really, it is about always looking at how we differentiate ourselves from our competitors. And I think the only last one I would touch into is how do we always enhance the customer experience to have that customer as a repeat customer. The reason why I say that, looking at our membership and the customers who dine in with us, we have customers who come in every day. We have customers that come in weekly. We have customers that come in every 6 months. How do we put in place those processes? How do we put in place those tools to make sure that, A, we understand what the customer concerns are, and how do we make sure that they're a repeat customer? In the hospitality industry, customers are very fickle, and they have a lot of choices. So it's about grabbing that customer and making sure they're a constant repeat customer. So that's, I think, the key differences between that and other sectors.
So take us through then, what have been some of the notable achievements of the team in recent years?
Sure. I think I'll break it down into two parts. The achievements for our customers, who are the people who come in and dine with us. We've rolled out, obviously, a membership reward system for the customers, which gives people access to virtual currency. So that's one thing where there's a psychology around people who see virtual money coming in, coming back, repeat customers. So that's one thing. We've also rolled out a new mobile app for our customers as well, which ties into the membership. And we've integrated that with the platforms like Apple and Google Pay and so on. So we've started to roll that out across for all our customers. One of the things that we had with the mobile app is, unfortunately, the mobile app that we had was pretty archaic. And like I said, when competing with agile competitors, and some of them who are quite global, you need to be able to provide a solution that is simple to use, secure, and it gives people what they're looking for, which is, like I said, now everyone's moving to Google and Apple Pay. So those are some of the things that we've delivered for our customers who dine in. I think from a business and a technology point of view, we put a lot of effort over the last couple of years to move from what was a bit of a legacy on-premise system to a cloud-based consumption model. We've moved over 80% of our environment to that. And why we like the consumption-based model is because our business has a lot of peaks and troughs. So when you get to the kind of events like Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, all these other events, we need to be able to scale up very quickly our environment. And so we've been able to do that by moving to that consumption-based model. The other one, and this is a key one that we've delivered, is we're starting to actually provide reporting and dashboards for the business. We're able now to provide that data that's been missing in the past. What are your sales? What are your sales versus last year? What are your members' habits? All this is per location, per store. So we've become a lot more agile. We're starting to be able to show those dashboards to say how the stores are performing, where they've performed versus certain metrics, what their labor is in the store, their productivity. And we're also able now to actually start, because we're able to provide these dashboards, we're actually now able to show and start to put in place metrics. I'm a big fan of, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So now we're able to actually measure these things, and the business is coming back saying, oh, great, okay, I understand my labor, I understand my wastage, I understand my food cost. I'm now able to measure and put in place KPIs for other departments to meet it.
So you mentioned that you rolled out that new mobile app, and obviously a lot more people are paying with things like Apple Pay and Google Pay. But what else are you using from a technology perspective to enhance that customer engagement and experience?
Sure, I'll give you one example. And this is an example that people don't understand that it's technology in the back end using it. So a customer who comes to us now and decides to book for a group of, say, 6, they'll come in and they'll go online, they'll enter their details, booking for 6 people at this store, at this location, submit. An SMS goes to that customer straight away saying, look, we're confirming your booking. Thank you for booking with us. Please click here if you have any additional details, or click here to cancel. And an email goes to that customer as well. After that message goes out, 24 hours before they come and dine, they get another communication from us. And that communication is just to once again validate and confirm that they are attending. Have you forgotten anything? Has the number of people changed? What other information do you want to give us? Is it a special occasion, for example? Is it a birthday? What are the special occasions? Do you have a specific seating arrangement in place or in mind that you want? So that's all done to kind of get the customer experience ready before they arrive in the location. Then, obviously they come in, they dine in, and once they leave our store, we also request feedback. And the feedback is designed to see how was their experience in store. So obviously the feedback communication goes out to the customer who's dined in with us, and they will provide their feedback based on certain aspects. How was the location of the restaurant? How was your seating? How was the customer service, and so on and so forth. What we've actually done now, even with that feedback now, is it comes into a system, like effectively a CRM system that we have now in-house, whereby that is then looked at by the customer service team, and the customer service team then assign that to the key departments, who then actually effectively go through it, understand what we're on, liaise with the store to rectify what happened, and also reach out to the customer direct to understand, okay, how was your experience? And then only once all that is done and signed off, then those tickets get closed. So in a way, we're providing a full end-to-end experience for the customer. And effectively, technology plays a key part from the first message right until the customer is engaged, their problem or their satisfaction is addressed with the customer service, and then we're reporting on that as well to understand which stores are getting positive feedback, negative feedback, and how we're tracking with those stores to make sure either they improve or they keep doing a great job.
Hopefully they're getting lots of good feedback as well.
I hope so too.
And so look, technology, when you are rolling it out, you have quite a lot of stakeholders in your organization. Obviously, you've got your frontline staff, you've got people in the kitchen, you've got your service, your corporate staff, as well as a range of different customer types. Some may not be as tech savvy as others. So how do you ensure that adoption of those new technologies that you are introducing, both internally and with your customers?
Sure. Look, for an internal point of view, we rolled out an LMS system, which is a learning management system called Rashes Academy. And effectively what that is it's a training platform for all our staff, and it breaks down into the division or the department that the person is in. So everything from kitchen staff on how they prepare a certain dish, the measurements for these dishes, for IT, for people to do basic IT courses, obviously governance, ethics, all these sorts of things are put into that Rashes Academy. Rashes Academy available through an app. So we encourage all staff who start up to actually get access to either the app or login, and they're all giving a login. There are courses that are mandatory that they need to complete, things like governance, ethics, etc. There are mandatory courses based on the department you're in. So obviously, if you're a kitchen staff or you're a warehouse staff and so on and so forth, there are specific courses that are mandatory. So that's how we kind of get the upskilling in-house and to make sure that they're adopted. So they're starting to adopt that, and they're starting to see how that system works. For customers, I guess from a customer point of view, we send out a lot of push notifications through the mobile app. We send out email and SMS campaigns to all our customers and emails to make sure that they're aware of the technology, the mobile app and so on and so forth. There's been a real driver in the stores since we rolled out the membership platform earlier in the year to actually for staff to engage with our customers, help them download the app, help them sign up as a member. That's seen us drive from almost no members to over 100,000 members in the space of, I think, 7-8 months. So that's been a real driver. And from a customer point of view, we wanted to make it as simple as possible. We didn't want, when you're ordering for our app or you're being a member, we want to make it as simple as possible. It's nice, it's simple, you order, select your location, pick up delivery, that's it. So customers are adopting. We've seen a great uptake over the last probably 7 months. And it's purely organic growth at the moment. So because it's organic growth, we're confident that, okay, because it's organic growth, the tool is doing what it needs to do, and it is simple to use as well.
I know cybersecurity is the top concern of every CIO in every industry, but take us through, I guess, your challenges when it comes to maintaining cybersecurity and protecting, that data. You've got a lot of customer data and, of course, your own company data. What's your approach?
Look, it is a challenge. I'm not going to lie. Data is really key, and you have a major responsibility to your customers and to the business to make sure that data is kept secure. We've seen big players impacted. The likes of Medibank, Optus. So there's some really big players who are impacted, and it shows that the smallest mistake, the slightest policy not being prepared, or something can cause that kind of problem. So what we've done is when we moved to our cloud-based infrastructure and setup, we've started to sign up to a lot more subscription security products, which we didn't have before. Because when you have that kind of hardware based on premise, over time, 3 to 5 years, there's going to be new technology that has better subscriptions, better ways to protect you. So by moving to that kind of cloud-based, we've been able to pick the technology that we want from a security point of view, and we work with that vendor to make sure it's constantly updated, policies are reviewed, and making sure that any sort of traffic that we see that is not business traffic is either blocked or investigated. Internally, we've started to put in place a lot of policies and procedures around how we do things. Yes, along security and along even day-to-day operations. And the reason for that is because once you have that kind of clear policies and procedures, you're able to understand, what do we want to do? How do we do it? And we make sure that every staff member is accountable for that as well. Tying into that, we've also come up with a business continuity and disaster recovery plan to make sure that in the event of an impact to a location or to the business, we have clear mechanisms in place and a clear plan that we've already drilled on how we're going to recover from that. We obviously focus a lot on training, and with the LMS system that we have, some of the mandatory courses for our staff are the cybersecurity. How can they catch things, emails that they get, phishing attempts. Always validate with the user before you get anything. And I guess the last things obviously MFA, multi-factor authentication across the whole business is key because a lot of the attacks are coming in from compromised accounts that are coming in. So that's been one of the things that we've seen has made a big difference. And I guess the last thing is once you put all these things in place, it's about continuous improvement. So we as an organization are moving towards ISO certification in security. So we're going down that journey, I guess. And security is a journey. Security is not something that you can just put in place and forget. Security is a journey, and it's a constant one. So us as an organization, we're moving towards ISO 27001, and we're looking at all these other kind of, even government recommended mandates in place just to make sure that we are as secure and stable as possible as an organization.
Yeah, and great point there. There's no end to cyber. Just continue with it. It's a team sport, and it's always going to be on the agenda. So take us through then, Leslie, your approach when it comes to prioritization. I mean, how do you decide what you're going to invest in? How do you align your tech strategy with that overall business strategy?
We have something at Rashes which is really good. We have something called like a 3 pillars. And what we as a leadership team came up with, we said, look, we as a business are going to have 3 pillars. And the pillars are effectively service, food, and brand. And what we did is any initiative that we as a leadership team or one of the leadership team initiated was to align to one of those pillars. So does your business initiative improve our service? Does it improve our food? Or does it improve our branding as out in the market? So based on those are kind of the key criteria that is put in place to the business. If it meets obviously any of those criteria or more than one, that's how we then as a technical and a digital partner, we then focus on that. So when they came up, we were discussing, for example, the mobile app, etc. Yes, it improves our brand, it improves the service that we give to our customers. And that was one of the things that we sat then as a leadership team and said, yes, that is an initiative that we see value in. Membership rewards, again, it improves our brand, and so on and so forth. So I guess we always when we sit as a leadership team, I think from a business and a technology point of view, we're aligning those 3 brands, those 3 pillars, as the key fundamentals that we all have to adhere to before an initiative is put in place.
Yeah, always good to have that guiding light of where you're investing your time and energy into.
100%.
So, what role do partnerships play in your overall IT strategy? I mean, what do you look for when you're going out to market? You're deciding which technology vendor or MSP that you partner up with? What's important to you?
I think from an MSP point of view or a partner point of view, the key thing for me that I found over time is you're looking for a partner, you're not looking for a vendor. And the thing for me is I found too many vendors, it becomes purely transactional. You pay for a service, you get it when you need it, and that's it. For me, if a partner or a vendor doesn't understand my business, doesn't understand it to the point that when I call up or someone raises a concern with them, they need to understand how that impacts our day-to-day operations. A partner will understand your business the same as you do. And what I've found with a lot of partners is if they don't understand when you call them up that, okay, this service is down, they need to be able to say, oh, okay, this service is down. It means 1, 2, and 3 is impacted. Not many vendors are like that. But I guess that's the kind of conversation I have with partners and vendors when we start out, saying that, look, I'm looking for a partner, someone who understands the business the same as me, or else it becomes purely transactional. And if it's going to be purely transactional, then it's something that you may be changing every time you go an RFP every 12, 24, 36 months. So for me, really, it is about the key of them understanding my business, partnering with our business, or else, like I said, it just becomes purely transactional.
And what emerging tech do you think will have the biggest impact on, your industry, hospitality in the coming years? Is there anything coming down the line that you're excited about?
Well, like cybersecurity, everyone's talking about AI. Look, AI is a big thing. It's still very much in its infancy. Look, I love the idea of AI. I think there are still some concerns around governance. And how AI is going to be used, what kind of data is kept with AI. Everyone's seen those kind of comical things, out on the net, which is showing how AI responds to certain areas. So there's still some work to be done. Like I said, governance is still an issue, but I think AI will really help. The hospitality industry always faces challenges with staff shortages, especially based on how the economy is going. So I see us using AI to do things like manage customer feedback, answer and respond to phone calls. I've even seen, there's technology out there now where conversational AI is answering calls, responding to customers, dealing with day-to-day, things like taking bookings and answering queries. And even things like more intuitive online chats with AI who understand a bit more, will understand you're a member, you're not a member, your habits, etc. So look, I think it has a lot of potential. I see AI as really driving those kind of things, but the question is whether the maturity is there yet, and what it can and can't do, and what you should and shouldn't do with it. So I see a lot of potential with that.
I'm glad that you're back in Australia after a period of time over in the Middle East. And what do you think are some of the biggest challenges, I guess, facing IT leaders in Australia in the coming years?
Look, you mentioned it earlier. Security is a major one. You've seen a lot of state-based actors who this is their job effectively, trying to impact organizations, steal data, even attack governments. So that goes without saying. Cybersecurity is a challenge, and it's something that's going to, like I said earlier, it's a journey. It's something that we'll have to keep adopting. We'll have to keep enhancing. And I think as more and more people engage together on the security front, I think eventually it will stabilize a lot more than it is now, because, like I said, security is still a relatively new field. It's only been there for a couple of years when you compare it to overall IT. So security is a big one. Another one, which is a bit controversial, I think, but this is one that I like to always talk about, is how is IT managing cost versus quality? And when I talk about that, for me, starting in IT, being that customer kind of tech support person, I'm a big advocate for customer service. And what we've seen over IT, I think for, many years now, is there is that cost versus quality. They're looking at managing costs and making, IT costs to be, very cost efficient, but you're losing a lot of that quality as well in what you deliver to businesses. I've seen in some organizations where, you want to be the most cost efficient IT department you can, but then you have SLAs where if a staff member is impacted, you're looking at 8-hour response time. And yes, people can say, oh, well, we as a business accept that risk, and they'll always say it when they're going to sign the contract and there's this genuine cost saving. But on the other hand, you need to say, well, okay, how is that really going to work in the real world? When you have a finance manager who is impacted and can't work for 8 hours, it doesn't really translate into real benefit to the business. So I think that's a conversation that people need to start having. There is obviously there's huge advantages to outsourcing, and there's huge advantages to keeping core teams in-house. So I guess that's one of the things I think that leaders now need to start having that conversation, that we want to make sure that we have a cost-effective department, but we also need to make sure that the quality and the customer service doesn't drop. So I think that's one that I see, a challenge I see as organizations look at either reducing costs, or they're having big, inflated teams onshore, that you need to look at, okay, how can we make sure that we're still delivering a great service to our customers, but we can move a lot of maybe non-essential services offshore.
Yeah, it's a great point, that whole argument, cost versus value, and when you invest and how you make sure the business keeps running and not making those short-sighted decisions. Yeah, great
Absolutely.
points right there. So then finally, what's important to you, Leslie, in the months ahead?
The months again, look, I think it's well known the global economy is going through a bit of a challenge at the moment. And hospitality is at the, is really at the forefront of that, really impacted from that. I think for us, what we're looking at now is really about the tools and the data to help drive key business decisions. For us, it is about, we're providing that data to the business now to be able to say, okay, this promotion, we did it, how did it go? This product that we have, how was it selling 12 months versus today? What are our member habits? What are our members dining in? What are they getting? Obviously member habits are different per location as well, per state, per location. So it's a lot right now about understanding that data, translating that data in a way that is easy to understand, and to start to set those kind of KPIs against it. I think hopefully over the next couple of months, once the global economy obviously starts to recover, we're looking at this opportunity to kind of, stabilize a lot of the services and the systems that we have, because I think there is a real opportunity for growth internationally as a business, and having those kind of metrics, those dashboards, those tools in place will help drive the growth internationally and even regionally. So yeah, it's more about understanding where we are today, really providing quick data, dashboards to be able to make decisions quickly and efficiently.
Well, I look forward to catching up with you in the months ahead and hearing more about those great plans. Naseem Batal, Chief Information and Technology Officer at Roche's, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.